Good afternoon, Dr. Kimball and fellow classmates. I downloaded the informed consent document from Central Iowa Psychological Services, also known as CIPS, which is very comprehensive and fulfills most of the recommendations of the ACA codes and much, much more. According to Somberg, Stone, and Claiborne in their 1993 APA PsychNet article, Informed Consent, Therapist Beliefs and Practices, clients need adequate information about the counseling process in order to have the freedom to make informed choices and even to protect their autonomy. And CIPS articulates this really, really well in their document. The CIPS consent form also reflects the ACA code by describing the variety of therapeutic approaches that might happen based on the client therapist personalities and relationship and assessment, the different methods that might be used as the client and counselor begin to collaborate and put together a treatment plan moving forward. However, the ACA code encourages counselors to make sure the client understands the implications of a potential diagnosis, and this is something that CIPS does not include in their form. They do invite questions about the procedures, a lot of openness, and the client's opportunity to revoke the agreement at any time. Reflected in the ACA codes regarding the client's right to enter, remain in, or refuse services. The ACA code also directs counselors to inform clients about the limits and risks of therapy and also the possible benefits, and the CIPS agreement covers that really well. They actually list out some of the risks that people might experience and even some of the specific benefits that they might gain from that. They inform clients about the length of sessions, fees and billing, procedures for cancellation, no-shows, and the use of insurance. They also provide instructions for the client if they're in an emergency and can't reach the counselor, what numbers to call, crisis hotlines, 911, something that the ACA code does not mention. In accordance with the ACA code, CIPS covers the limits on confidentiality, which is very important, including situations where no authorization is required, such as administrative staff, insurance companies, duty to warn, and in some instances, court proceedings. They also cover ACA code regarding the role of technology and caution clients about the use of email and faxes. CIPS adheres to Principle A2D in the codes and informs clients under the age of 18 years of age and their parents regarding the law that may allow parents to examine the child's treatment records, and therefore the counselor seeks an agreement from both child and parent in the disclosure information. The CIPS services agreement appears to align well with state laws and regulations. According to the Iowa Legislature, laws and rules that govern behavioral health, Section 147.137, a consent in writing must be provided, including the general nature and terms of procedures used by the healthcare provider, potential risks involved, opportunities for questions, and a client signature. CIPS includes this in their consent form. CIPS meets the state requirements for a HIPAA and PHI in accordance with the Iowa Health Network Law 135D.2, stating that security standards and procedures must be implemented to protect the privacy of client information, but also provide the clients opportunity to decline the exchange of their information if they so choose. My own personal conclusions of the CIPS consent form is that it is very exhaustive. I wonder if it might even be too much information for the client and the therapist to read through in that initial intake and assessment, and might even hinder the therapeutic process and relationship building that's so important in that first session, especially if a client is coming in with severe depression, maybe anxiety, trauma, maybe in crisis. Interesting that in the study, Somberg, Stone, and Claiborne discovered that some clinicians did not even use an informed consent. For that very reason, these therapists expressed concern about the client's welfare and the potential negative impact of going through an informed consent in such a manner. State laws now require written consent and should be thorough and yet, I believe, simple. so as to not overwhelm the client with a lot of information in those initial vulnerable moments. Thanks so much.